Hey there, writers and muse daters. Annalisa Summea from the Writing Gym coming live to you today to talk about staying in momentum in your writing. So I was writing this morning. I've got a great writing partner, another published author, and she and I write a couple of times a week together. And it was really interesting for me. I've had some work accepted into an anthology, so I was working on that. And every word I wrote, you guys, I despised. I was like, this is terrible. It's not good. And that wasn't just the inner critic. We have the inner critic that says, this is terrible, this isn't good. But this was really with my professional eyes, with my editor hat on, acknowledging that this was a pretty bad first draft. And so this is an interesting opportunity that writers have, because the strategy there wasn't to look for the perfect word, to find exactly the way that I wanted the scene to go. I sort of wrote it another way, and then I kind of wrote it another way. And this was interesting to me because this is exactly the kind of thing that happens for the writers that I work with in the writing gym. And one of the things that we say is that you give yourself permission to write a bad draft. Now, this isn't going to work for everybody. Not everybody is that type of writer. Some people need to stop and they need to fix the sentence, and that's part of their process. But this is really the point. The point really is that when you find your best writer, then you can be that best writer and you can move through that process. So one of the things that I say to the writers in the writing gym all the time is trust the process, trust the process. In fact, one of the writers one time said to me, I don't trust the process yet, Annalisa, but I trust you and I know that you trust the process. So I'm just going to keep going. When you find what your process is, when you know what your process is and you can rely on that process and trust that process, then like I did this morning, because I know my process, I know that I can write a terrible paragraph and that when I come back to it, or come back to it again the second, third, 15th time, I'm going to make it the paragraph that I want. But for me, I need to get that story out on the page so that I've got the whole scope of what it is that I'm trying to say, and I can come in later. Maybe that sounds familiar to you. Let me know in the comments if that sounds like something that you do. This is why I'm so passionate about helping writers to find their best writer, because I've been at so many of the conferences, workshops, classes that say, in order to be a writer, you have to do it this way. You have to be a penciler, you have to be an outliner, you have to stop and write every word. You can't stop and write every word. Whatever, there's all kinds of advice out there. Here's what I know from a neuroscientific standpoint. When you are in flow with the way that your brain works and thinks and creates best, then you'll know what you need to do, right? So my brain needs to just keep going. Maybe your brain needs to stop and pause. Maybe your brain needs to find exactly the right word in exactly the right moment. This is my passion, helping writers to find their best writers so that they can stay in creative flow, using neuroscientific principles to really get into that place where you give yourself permission. And it's okay if you're the kind of writer who just needs to write that bad first draft and fix it later. Sometimes writing can be in the revision, and that's okay. It's really, really powerful to find your best writer and get into that creative flow, and to be able to trust that, to say, look, this is okay. I'm not at my very best right now. This isn't my final draft, and that's okay. That's okay. And there's a lot of confidence in that, in being okay with the not okay, if that makes sense. At any rate, I'd love to hear what you're writing, what you're working on. Are you looking to publish a novel? What's going on for you in your writing life? And what questions do you have about writing and publishing? I'd love to hear from you. I'm Annalisa Summea. I am an author, career strategist, and writing coach over in the Writing Gym. Let us know what it is you're writing. And until next time, happy writing.